Guys, this scope rocks. I'm going to have to start it out that way. This is a really exceptional scope for the money. Primary Arms does a fantastic job. Known that for a long time. I've reviewed some of their optics, some of their early optics, just because a buddy of mine loves Primary Arms. Whenever I put a different scope, especially one that's medium priced, the fanboys come out on the comments. Personally, I didn't own a Primary Arms up until this scope right here. And really what got me started on this was AK-47 Operators Union. He did a test with this particular scope. It's the 1x6. It's a 30 millimeter tube. It's illuminated reticle. It's made for CQB, but it also has ranging out capabilities. And we're going to take a look at some of the specifics, but I'll tell you, the really great cool thing about this scope is the reticle, the ACSS reticle. It has a built-in bullet drop compensator. It does range estimation. It'll actually calculate your wind, and it even has dots for leads if someone's running or walking. Now here is the ACSS reticle. I think it's really important that we talk about this because there's a lot of really cool features about the reticle that really make this scope to me. First, right here where your red dot is centered, you sight this in at 100 yards. And then you have this horseshoe that fits around it. Now what that does, it draws your eye into that center dot. And it's amazing because it does. It just draws that eye right in there. So this is what really makes this comparable to a red dot. Here you have like a red dot system, and yet you have bullet drop compensators all the way down out to 800 yards. And this is in yards. So you go from the 100 yards, and then down just below that's 200, and then 300's right about here, and then 400, and you have crosshairs 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, the way you get range estimation is you take your target, and let's say it's a man-sized target. The average man is 5'10", and if he was standing at 300 yards, his feet would be at the bottom line, the top of his head would be at the 3, and so forth. 400 yards, 5, all the way down to 8. So if you see a man standing in a field, and that happens to be your target, here the top of the head to the bottom of the feet, and that's how you can range estimate. The number one reason for missed shots is range estimation. So this is a really important feature. So let's say it's 400. You center your crosshair where you want the bullet to impact on the 400, right here in that crosshair. And then so on for 5, 6, and 7, just all the way down. Now if the subject is prone, right here is shoulder width. So at 400 yards, that should be shoulder width, and then 5, 6, all the way down to 800, that's shoulder width. And that's if they're laying down. Now on either side here, you'll see 2 dots. These are for leads. And it's been calculated by the U.S. military that an average man running with a weapon runs 8.6 miles per hour. So this is calculated at 300 yards that if you see someone running, place this dot on them, and at 300 yards, this will be your impact point. So he'll run right into the bullet. Vice versa on this side as well. The average speed of a man walking with a weapon is 3.1 miles, and that is this area right here. So if you target right here on this edge, and then by the time he gets here, you're able to make the shot. Now the little dots running down in this diagonal are for wind, and these are calculated at a 5-mile-an-hour wind. So a shot you're taking at 400 meters, if you have a 5-mile-an-hour wind, you'll be able to calculate to this point. If the wind's greater, you can start to calculate out. The more you shoot this rifle, the more you're going to be able to calculate your wind. And of course, that's just going to come over time. But as you can see, this is a very simple system for something that really takes a lot of mathematical calculations. With this, everything is laid out for you. The math's already done. Now, there's a video on the Primary Arms YouTube channel, and Dimitri, who actually designed this reticle, goes through and explains it in really good detail. So if you're really interested in looking at the ACSS in more depth, I'm going to have a link down below, and I'll have it annotated right here. You can go and check out that video. It's excellent. Now the whole idea behind the ACSS reticle system is based on the original Russian PSO reticle, or the PSO-1. These were designed back in the 60s by the Russians to be able to, in the field, be able to calculate ballistics for snipers or for designated marksmen. The PSO-1 has been around and is still being used all over the world, and it's just an exceptional system. And this really dates back to pre-mill technology but we're finding out that it's coming back. In fact, Trigicon uses that same concept for their reticle systems. Okay, here we see the reticle. This is through a camera lens. I'm going to pull this away and see if we can pick it up. Now this is on full power as far as the illumination. It isn't a really bright illumination during daylight, but it is at night. As you can see, we've turned it off now. This is at 0 magnification. We're going to up it to 6. It brings it in pretty good. I'm going to bring it back down just for you to get a good idea of how far we're looking out there. So 1 to 6 is going to give you a good amount of magnification for a lot of applications. Here I've got the lens cap covered and I've got it at full illumination. This is on the 11. We're going to go down to 10, 9, 8. I'm just going to go ahead and degrade it down. You can see the how clear that is even through this camera. Now you're getting into more of your night vision settings and then completely off. Now it does glow pretty decently even in decent bright sunlight. If it's really bright, you're going to lose some of it. I was shooting a lot with it off in the black, which did excellent. Now first and foremost, I'm not going to put just anything on this BCM Recce. I mean, this is just my very favorite AR-15. It's just a fantastic rifle. And I've done a full review on this rifle. Just a beautiful rifle. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to test this scope on the rifle, because I felt like that this could really handle the capabilities of this scope. And plus, just gave me a good excuse to get this rifle back out to the range. It is a 1x6. You know, that is pretty a new concept. A lot of guys have the 1x4s out there. Those have been really popular. But the 1x6s that are coming out now are giving you just a little bit more extension for accuracy out to distance. With the 1X, you're definitely going to be right on with this illuminated reticle, just like a regular red dot. And yet you have the etched reticles, which I love. But one of the things about a red dot scope is that if the electronics fail, if the battery goes out, you have a useless piece of optic on your gun. With an optic like this, even if the illumination goes out, you still have laser etched reticles on the glass, and that is huge, especially in a tough situation, maybe where your life is dependent on it. Now this scope excels in close quarter out to about 300 yards. So you're going to have pretty medium range capability here. But it does have a bullet drop compensator on out to 800 yards. The body is 60-63 aerospace grade aluminum, just excellent. There's a really nice matte finish on this scope. It looks somewhat tactical. It's not shiny. Has a little bit of a gloss to it. It's a really nice flat color. The dials on it are just black, which I kind of like the contrast there. To change your magnification, there's a 1, and then you just turn it all the way up to 6. And you get your full magnification here. One of the things I like is this little knob right here. This allows you to be able to turn it. It's not a really easy turn, which I like because it's going to stay in place. And you're going to get it right where you want it. You have a focus ring right here. One of the things about this scope that I really like is the eye relief. It's 4.5 inches. It does have flip-up scope covers. The rear one back here can be a little sticky at times, but they are nice. It has a rubber coating right here on the back. To access your illumination right here, 0 is off, and then it goes straight to the brightest setting of 11, and then of course goes all the way to 1. Very positive. You can hear just that muffled sound of the click, and you can feel it. The elevation knobs are low, which makes it nice, and very positive large dials. So you're really able to see these dials really easy. You have your arrow for up, and then you can hear the clicks. Really nice dial system. Easy to get a hold of, toolless as well, which makes it really nice when you're out at the range or you're in the field. I did use one of the Air Precision lightweight 30mm scope mounts, but I'm going to replace it with the American Defense scope mount. It has a QD system, and this is one that Primary Arms carries. It's just an excellent system, and Dimitri at Primary Arms said these mounts are excellent. So to go with the 1-6, I'm going to attach this. I just got it in, so I haven't had time to take it out to the range yet, but this is going to be what I'm going to add to this rifle. The glass in this is really clear and really above its pay grade. Typically with a scope around this price range, and I'll just go ahead and tell you the price, $269 for this scope, which is honestly fantastic. I don't think there's anything out there that even comes close to that in the 1x6. It is multi-coated, so it's going to give you some protection, anti-reflective. And here you get a little better idea of the glass. Of course, looking through it, it's just fantastic. I mean, the glass is really exceptional for this price range. The length of the scope is 10 3/4 inches. The weight is 17.4 ounces. So just under 17.5 ounces. That does not include your mount. And of course, if you get a really lightweight mount, you're really going to keep that down. Now these scopes are designated for 5.56 or 5.45 by 3.9, which is the Russian caliber, and 308. And you can go to the owner's manual and look and see how to calibrate the scope to fit your caliber. Now to get the rifle sighted in, this was the first couple of groups at 50 yards. Not all that great, but it did get me started. I was using HPR 223, 55 grain, and of course with the BCM Recce. And this was just the initial shooting. And then once I moved it over, I really started tightening those groups up. And here all these are touching. I had one little small flyer here, and then all these were touching. I had these side by side, so I shot the bottom first, and then I went up and shot the top. So I was able to get really good accuracy right away at 50 yards. Then at 100 yards, I had a 4-shot group right here, and then another 3-shot group here. And then I was able to tighten that up here, and then this was the last shooting of the day. This was actually 6 rounds with 5 and then 1. But at 100 yards with standard 55 grain 223, it's not a bad group right there. And this rifle is definitely capable of this. Guys, I'm not a bench press shooter. I do shoot a lot. I mean, this scope is capable of much better accuracy than I can give it. Of course, that BCM Recce has a lot to do with the accuracy as well. Oh yeah, popping that thing back and forth.
Uh-huh.
Dang, that's sweet. Beautiful. I think it draws your eye naturally,
Yeah,
with the outer and the inner, so it's almost like a red dot with ranging capability.
when it goes up to 6x. Yeah, so
Right.
you got 6x magnification. The glass is clear. My only kind of complaint about it is at the field of view when you get wound up to 6x, your field of view is pretty small compared to some of the other 1-power scopes that are out there. But these things retail for what, like $200 or something? Yeah.
That's the manufacturer suggested retail. So that's the thing about it to me.
Yeah,
I mean the
it's
features.
It's the only 1x6 scope on the market under $1,000.
Right. Right.
And it's the only 1x6 scope on the market under $500. So, I mean, you know, for an entry-level 3-gun scope, there's nobody else that even competes with them.
Yeah. Now the scope is waterproof. It's also nitrogen purged, so it's fog proof. There was one test that Dimitri did. He put it down in snow overnight, left it. The next morning, got up, brushed the snow off, and it was perfectly fine. I mean, even the illumination inside was intact and everything. Now, Primary Arms does carry a 3-year warranty on these scopes. If anything goes wrong, they'll replace it. And Primary Arms has been around for a good while, producing some really cool scopes. You can go to the Primary Arms website, primaryarms.com. They carry a lot of other different accessories and optics for your AR, your AK, and a lot of other different things, mounts, and you name it, those guys are carrying it. I mean, again, the price of $269 for a 1x6 with all the different features, illuminated reticle. I mean, I don't know where you're going to get that. So the Primary Arms 1x6 illuminated reticle ACSS scope, thumbs way up. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. The length of the scope is 7 3/4 inches. The weight on the scope is 17.4 inches. Man size average is 5.5. The average man is 5'10". Okay. Now, right on the sides here, these little dots, this is for rain. Okay. Primary Arms, you're doing a fantastic job. I'm gonna have to give you a big thumbs up. I'm not even in the focus. Okay, thumbs up. That was just like perfect. It was like the perfect sound bite.